Gotta get that work in. You gotta leave early in the morning, get that work in. Woo! Look at that, look at them. Heading back to the house right now. But look at that. Yeah, I'm happy. See, that's the thing about holding a camera, bro. You could be walking anywhere, people are gonna stare at you, bro. I think that's why I wanted to pick it up anyway, but my fucking battery's about to die, so I'm about to go back inside, charge this bitch, and see what's up, because I got a lot to talk about. So see y'all later. So obviously, you know, today, different day, camera died on me. So to start, one of the reasons why I decided to, you know, and this is more of a documentation than it is a YouTube channel, but I've been struggling. I've struggled my whole life. I've always been able to take care of myself. I've been able to manage, you know, since I was a kid, but I just want to get some footage of, you know, a day-to-day, all my days, you know, whether I'm, you know, I don't do a lot, but when I do stuff, you know, or when I go through, when I struggle, I want to have a family. I've been lied to countless times through jobs, through friend groups, through school, through a lot. I realized that the only way I'm ever gonna be able to achieve what I want out of this life, because it is a damning life, and it can be a damning life, is to pick up a camera and show the world what it's like being me. That's not to say that I'm important or I mean more than anybody else or I'm in the worst situation. I've just had so many questions, whether it's money, keeping relationships, keeping jobs, getting good jobs, all that. I've never really had a direction. I have standards. I'll never settle for anything. I'll never, you know, stoop too low. But I see a lot of people that have it all. They have the family, they got the new cars, they got the new jobs. And I just, like I said, I want to shed light on a life that didn't have access to a lot of that stuff. So just a little bit about me. I was born in 2000. I was born in San Jose, Bay Area. My mom had been a drug addict since she was like 15. She had ran away from my grandparents. She was doing crack in the 80s. Met my dad. My dad was a pimp, pimped her out, ended up making me. And when I was around 1, my mom ended up leaving me at the babysitter's and never came back to get me. So my grandmother got called, and the babysitter was like, I can't keep him. I can only keep him for a certain amount of time. Somebody needs to get him. So my grandmother ended up getting me, moving me down to where I am now. And eventually my other sister would follow. I have like 13 brothers and sisters. My mom just would pop kids out. But it was me and my little sister. My little sister was the middle child. She was born in 05. I was the first kid. So I got like 13 brothers and sisters out there, and I really only know like 3 or 4 of them. My middle sister, or the one that was born in 05, me and her have the closest relationship, obviously, because we grew up together, but every other kid went into foster care, with the exception of like one of them that's with like their father's side of the family, but nobody is in contact with my mother's side of the family. So yeah, this is one of the most crazy stories in my life. But growing up was difficult. I didn't understand why my life was the way it was. I didn't have a bad life at all. My grandma had a pretty big house. I never, you know, needed anything. Anything I ever needed was more of a want than a need as a child, but I didn't know the difference. I was a child. Like I said, I had a lot of issues and questions growing up, but mainly my issues came from why. I had a lot of why. Whether it was, why can't I have this? Or why don't I have a mom? Or why don't I have a dad? And then that would eventually, you know, turn into, why don't I have a grandfather? When I was like 8, I walked in on him and he was dead. I found him in his recliner. Death is normal to me. Death is a part of my life. Death and abandonment and people just being there one day and not being there the next day is normal. I tapped him. I was like, hey, Papa, like, are you, like, and he didn't answer. His favorite ESPN reruns were playing. I'll never forget that. Yeah, so from that point on, my grandmother took care of me and my sister all alone in that big house, paid the bills, did her thing. She was really smart. She was good with money. I didn't know that until way later. So obviously we would bicker. I wasn't a good child. I wasn't the best. I had like I said, a lot of problems. I've always been a child of apologizing. Whenever I did anything wrong, I would look my grandmother in the eye and let her know that I know I wasn't being the best kid and I wanted to change, but I had so many outside influences that tempted me to be more of a bad kid than a good one. So it was hard for me to get on track. Summer 2017, I ran away that summer, didn't want to be at home. Ended up coming back right before my senior year started, and I made a pact with my grandmother that I was going to get everything on track, and I wanted to be the successful grandson that she had always wanted me to be. I was tired of playing games. I wanted to focus in, and she bought me school clothes that year, bought my sister school clothes, everything. I went to school first day senior year, and it was an exciting day. Senior sunrise. I'm a senior. I'm 17. I'm feeling good. I just made a pact with my grandma that I was going to be as best as I could this year. I went to senior sunrise, and I didn't have a shirt. Like, my shirt was wrinkled, and I was like fucked up. And so I texted my grandma and I was like, hey, can you bring me another shirt? This is wrinkled. I want to look my best for this first day of school. So she brought me a shirt. She dropped it off in the office, and I just missed her. I didn't get to like go up there and retrieve it from her. That would be like the last time that I was ever in proximity of her. I go to my 7th period theater class, and I get a text from one of my best friends that lived across the street from us, and he said, hey, it's like 7-8 ambulances outside your house. I don't know what's going on. My parents are saying that your grandmother's like in one of them. You need to like, I don't know what's happening. You need to like call me or whatever, figure it out. And I immediately get a call from my godmother telling me my grandmother's in the hospital. She something was going on with her, and I'm thinking this is a prank. I'm like, they're trying to like scare me into being a good kid for the whole year to like really set me straight. I couldn't have been further from the truth. That was one of the worst days of my life. I ended up going to the hospital. What I thought was family, what I thought for the 15, 16 years was family. Everybody was in this hospital lobby just glaring at me. Turns out my grandmother had a random brain hemorrhage right after she got back from dropping the shirt off. She just died, went into a coma, went brain dead. Obviously everybody in my life at the time, is with me being a kid, knew my antics, knew my like behavior, knew I wasn't the best kid. I was forced to apologize because she was brain dead. She wasn't coming back. So I told them no. I told them I didn't want to go up there. Obviously, I was a kid. I had already seen so much death that I just couldn't picture my grandmother being dead. They made sure I went up there. They grabbed me, dragged me into the elevator, went up there, and they told me to say sorry for everything I've ever done to her. And them not knowing that me and her had this conversation a week before this happened, I went in the hospice room and I saw her. She had a tube in her mouth. And when I say grandmother, most people think like, oh, well, I mean, she was eventually on her way, right? But this woman was a powerhouse, and she separated us from our mom. We never really, to my knowledge, my mom was dead my whole life. Like, when we would go see her, she wouldn't necessarily say that that's our mom, more of like someone that is relevant to our lives, but never like, this is your mom. I think that word for her, she was more of our mom than my own mom could ever be. Yeah, she didn't take shit. She was strict. She knew. She had all her ducks lined up. She was very business savvy. She worked at Lockheed Martin. I don't want to say too much about personal stuff, but she was a smart woman. She had degrees. She was a really smart woman. Didn't put any of this together until years after she even passed away. She was healthy. She was a cancer survivor, breast cancer. She beat that. She beat obviously my mom and a lot of that stress that lasted her a lifetime of worry. And now that I'm talking to the camera about it, I can't even imagine her pain, knowing that we were the product of something that she only wished would have been successful. Like, I can't imagine how that must have felt. But she smiled through all the pain, and we were very involved in church. She was a good woman. Since that day, I don't even know my family anymore. Everybody blamed me for being the reason why she died. The stress, the hemorrhage, all that was me. I haven't gotten a call since 2016 from anybody I know. I'm dead to everybody. I don't exist. I still keep in contact with my sister, and we're like a unit. She's way younger than me, but I'm so appreciative of even just the little what's left over of what used to be my life. Me and her were so close when we lived together and everything, and she doesn't remember any of that now because she's older, but I remember everything. I'm so grateful that she knows I'm her brother, because my family doesn't seem to think that I'm family. But I just want to get into what that's done for me as I've gotten older. I made a lot of dumb decisions, from financial decisions to bad judgment of people, bad jobs, quitting a lot of stuff too early. And I look around and everybody claims to have gone through it. We're in a time where nobody can afford stuff or this and that, the third. But I don't think people understand what it's like to not have anybody in your contacts to call. Throughout the years, high school and all that, I met a lot of people that were like me. Not necessarily, they had their moms and you know what I mean, they had everything that a kid's supposed to, but they were all lacking in the love department. Nobody loved them. It's more a common theme nowadays than you would expect. Nobody that I knew when I was in high school felt loved enough to stay sober, to strive for a great career. It was rare. And then the friends that I did have that were on that path knew, well, I call them friends, but now that I'm looking back at it, they really were just associates, but they knew I didn't have that amount of support that they did. So we're no longer really friends. Some of my longtime childhood best friends, we're not even in the same sector of life, because they know that my hardships are something they could never endure. They could never go through. They would never know how to get out of what I'm in for life. I lost a lot of good people, lost a lot of good parents too. I had a lot of, when my grandma was alive, I had a lot of families that cared about me. I haven't heard from any of these people. You know, it goes without saying that my grandmother was the glue to my life. Didn't know that, like I said, until years later after she passed away. But, you know, I bullshitted around with the camera, done my fair share of business startups, not literally, but as much as I can to get out of this life of being in this demographic, because it's written all over my face and I hate it. And I want to change that by picking up a camera and talking about what really bothers me, because I don't think I'll ever get my life back unless I create another one. It's a lot to dump on camera for first video, but I don't want to be like all the other YouTubers. I thought about it for so long, like, what can I do that makes my life look exciting and, you know, content worthy and all that stuff. But the truth is that I'm not that, and I'm not them, and I don't have that support system. I don't have a group of friends. I know one person from one of my recent jobs that I had in my 20s, and I'm 23. I don't know anybody from my life anymore. I don't know my cousins, I don't know my aunts, I don't know my uncles. All I know is their names and where they could possibly live. They know nothing about me. They couldn't even tell you how old I am. But these are the people that I was with every winter break and every summer. And like I said, I don't want this to be some sort of sob story. That's not even what it is. If that was the case, you'd see me crying. And I'm not gonna do that. But I see a lot of these self-help male channels, and I said, I have a camera, pretty good one at that. Why not pick it up and explain things about life that are uncontrollable? I could sit here and tell you, like, you know, I could sit here and be like, go work out. That's gonna fix everything. But people just don't understand that there's things that can't be fixed. There's things that you can be coached through, and you ultimately make your own decision about how you're gonna feel about that. But there's no one size fits all to everybody's problems in life. And I'm tired of coming across channels that make it seem like that's the case. That's not true. None of that is true. You need to be able to connect with humans. You need to be able to be motivated, inspired on a real level, not some textbook. This is how you get out of your issues and all your problems. There is no way out. So you're gonna sit here with me as we all try to figure the way out. Because I can tell you right now, I can't, and I'm tired of running. So, yeah. It's a long overdue video. I'm really doing this so I can make a family of my own with my own audience. I'm not in it for anything other than that. Yeah, I know people that are no longer with us that love me would be so proud of me right now. I've lost a lot of good ones. Rest in peace to Blaze Mendez. Gonna be a big part of this channel. Something I've been confused about my whole life was why my mom and dad never figured their shit out. Like, here I am, clean, sober for 23 years, never been out on the street, never been tweaked out, none of that, but yet they still can't muster up the courage to come pick their children up. It baffles me. It really does. I don't understand it. I don't understand how I'm a product of drugs, but I beat drugs. Doesn't make sense. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. I appreciate you guys for even watching and clicking on this. I hope YouTube recommends it to people who need it. Like, subscribe. I want to build a family, and I'm stern on that. I'm not going to let up until I do. I appreciate you guys so much. Have a great day. Stay blessed and stay safe. See you.